Hello, everybody. If you can see Mannu, So once again, while I'm waiting for people to join and they're texting me and everything, I want to welcome you to our Zoom meeting. And believe it or not, this is the first Zoom meeting with one of the members from our group, and who happens to
Okay.
be who happens to be a former Miss Universe Canada. And it's such an
Oh,
honor to
wow.
have you. It's really an honor to have you. And I've been reading your bio, and I must say I am absolutely impressed. But I would like to hear from you, though, before I even start going into what my notes say over here. So what
Mhm.
was it like, being crowned the Miss Universe Canada for Miss Universe Canada Humanitarian 2011?
Yes. For me, the biggest thing was just being acknowledged, and I can tell you, we all yearn for acknowledgement all the time, some kind of acknowledgement. So for me, it was a very like rewarding thing that happened to me at that point when they told me that I was a top five and I received the humanitarian award, because I knew somewhere in the world it made a difference, by building an educational center, by giving education. So I think that was the biggest reward that I received from it. I'm not really sure if I was really excited on the stage as much, but I felt like I knew I had raised tons of money for the cause. So it was just that acknowledgement within. It felt really good.
Absolutely. So one of the things that really struck me is that uh, you've served as a correctional officer. It's on two different sides of the world. On the one side, you're on a correctional officer, and the other side, you're a pageant. So how was that experience versus becoming a pageant and going into modeling and acting?
For me, I think the only part that was really different was I wasn't really a public like a I couldn't speak in public pretty much at that point. So I really fought for that. Like for me, that was an achievement, because I'm like, well, I don't know how to walk on stage or talk in front of people. So I think that really built up my confidence. And um, other than that, I think because I was still working as a correctional officer, I had a lot of that, um, just that character that I was able to bring to the table when I went for Miss Universe Canada. Because now if you see it, you'll see women from all walks of life that are doing the pageants. It's not just the pretty face that knows how to talk and do it. It's doctors, scientists, anybody that you think that's young that wants to enhance their career. They go for beauty pageants because it really enhances your career. I mean, as a person.
What made you run for this pageant? I mean, what was the inspiration behind it? Did your mom do it, or your siblings, or your friends?
Mom's always been a big pusher. Like she's always pushed me to be in the entertainment field, because I think she, in her younger years, wanted to kind of have like a taste of it. So she's like, okay, like let me see if my daughter is able to kind of bring that, into the family. So she was always a big pusher. But I to the like how I got introduced to the pageantry world was through a friend.
We hear that. So I've heard that you are now pursuing Punjabi films.
Working on in Punjabi films for the last almost 8 years, about five Punjabi films, and my first Canadian film again was something that it was very character based, and that's pretty much the roles that even when I get them now, I want to move forward with more character roles.
Yeah.
I mean, I auditioned and I wasn't really good at auditioning at that point. It was my first movie, and I didn't even think I was ready for the role, but because I was passionate and I said, it's the role itself is so powerful, and it changed my life as well at that point, my perspective about things, because it's never happened to me in real life, being a foster kid or like living the life or being abused in a foster home sexually, so it was a difficult role.
Absolutely. But any particular actor that you would love to work with?
I honestly find Akshay Kumar as an actor who would support new talent. And he also came from, a struggling family when he was starting out. Um, if you ask me from the 90s, I would love to work with somebody like Akshay Kumar.
Have you been following the unfortunate events of Sushant Singh Rajput's demise?
I definitely have been, and I've been keeping like, I mean, there's like anger involved, there's like hate involved. Even within yourself, you feel so many emotions, going through people's videos. But I mean, he was a very strong person, I know some of his friends and how highly they talk about his intelligence and how they don't understand why this happened. I definitely feel that he was one of those guys I looked up to because he was somebody that wasn't from the industry and he did so well coming from TV. He was hope for a lot of people, and I feel like this is going to be like a wake up call if people are saying what they're saying is correct about the movie mafia.
Sad that he's gone.
Yeah.
He was the voice of sanity for a lot of actors like us, who don't have a godfather in the industry. I'm getting questions from the audience. I have a few from before. How do you deal with controversy and defeat?
I think controversy and defeat, they're both learning curves for you, right? I mean, I don't like controversy, first of all, and if it comes my way, I like to talk about it. Me and you could have an opinion that might not be the same, but it's how you communicate that to each other. Like, you could feel strongly about something and you could say, hey, like this happened because of this reason, and I strongly believe it. And I could have a different opinion about it, but it's the way we communicate with each other. I just think that maybe that person knows more than me. Maybe I don't have all my facts right. Maybe I should get my facts right first before. And even if I have the facts right, the other person they can have their own opinion.
That's the whole point. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And let me jump over to the next question. How do you build your confidence back when other people knock it down?
Being an immigrant kid, it was already tough enough to move into a country that was already like, you're being bullied in school. And somehow it just felt like maybe it came from when I didn't even know. Maybe my subconscious was so strong that you're just able to deal with situations in different ways. You're going to get hurt, right? It's how you deal with that hurt. Like, somebody can call me a liar, but if I know within myself that I'm not a liar, like how can you overpower my own confidence over that? Instead of like reacting to it right away, just kind of take it in first and then figure out, is that you? If it's not you, then you can walk away from it. So.
Great response. I have a question from Darpan Joshi. He's in the audience.
Hey, how are you? Thank you.
Great. How are you?
Good. So far, so good. So the question I had for you is, what do you look for when you're evaluating a script for yourself?
Definitely. I was telling Sonny earlier, like before I could see myself doing the girl next door, or like that, that pretty girl in the movie, maybe 10 years ago. But now I really look for really good character-driven films that are led by women. So like a film that's led by a woman instead of like led by a male. Just because we're in a situation in this world where we need to change perspective of a lot of things that are happening with women. Even like when I was in India, a lot of my red flags now is, films that are coming in the OTT platforms. Because India's become so, like, women have become so vulnerable to nudity there that they'll do pretty much any scene with any kind of nudity, which I've never seen India that forward. And it's not done in a very tasteful way either.
And you bring up a great point, because a part of it is because these films are made by men who think like men. They are not going to think like a woman. A woman will always, even if they are approaching any kind of a sensitive topic, will always have a much better,
more sensitive approach to it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So yeah, thank you for bringing that up.
Excellent question, Darpan. I have two questions. One was sent by Sumit Oliver.
Hi, Manu. I had 2 or 3 questions, but now I don't know what to ask because I've learned so much more about you in the course of this interview. And thanks, Sonny, for doing this. The question is, in your auditioning here in this geography, in the US and Canada region, what kind of languages have you auditioned in? Has all of that been in English, or some percentage in Punjabi, some in Hindi, Marathi, Gujarati, Bengali, Odia, like whatever?
a majority. I mean, we still don't have really big characters that are played in Hollywood. As you know, it's always the smaller roles and, you know, kind of smaller characters. Anything that's happening big in terms of Hollywood and Indians are happening in LA. So when a character comes to Canada, we have very small, like, two-liners, one-liner. 5 years ago, we would always need an accent. Like, even if I don't have an Indian accent, you would need an accent. So come up with an accent. Another one would be like, either if you're from Iraq or Iran more. It was never from India itself. Like, if you look like you're Irani, like, I can't speak Farsi, but if I could pull off some words, it would be okay, you know? So those are kind of the characters we went through in the last little while. I haven't been back here for 3 years. So now I feel like I've never auditioned in Canada in Hindi for a Hollywood film. I think that majority of that happens in LA or New York. I think Sonny can probably resonate with that a little bit more. But here, like I said, it's like super small and it's always Irani, Iraqi, because whenever Hollywood does movies, they do a lot of movies based on war that's out, you know, in those regions. So
You've come back at the right time. Time to change Hollywood now.
I know, I agree with you.
Thanks for your question.
I hope that answered your question.
It does. Yeah, thanks.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you for your question. And now the next question is coming from Ronnie Banerjee.
Hi, Ronnie.
Hello. Thank you so much for doing this. I'm learning a lot from just listening to you, and it's been very inspirational.
Awesome. Thank you.
I'm an actor in New York City, and my question is regarding towards auditioning. So when you get a script or a project, do you have a certain approach or a certain style that you might use to, you know, prepare yourself for a role? Like, you know, look for an objective, beats, character development. How do you approach the script when it's provided to you, or the sides?
When I was younger, I would literally just take the script and I would like try to memorize everything, and then I would try to be in the character right away, right? Like, you would read the character description, and then I would try to learn it as that character. So like, if there was a line that was angry in there, I would learn it in anger. I realized that you actually have to just learn the lines first. You have to be so off the book that you can just, without any emotion, say the lines. When I was training in India, they used to make us talk in gibberish. So like, just babble anything in gibberish, right? Like, we would sing songs, like I say a Hindi song, but we would sing it in gibberish. But then you would have to figure out what song we're singing. Just because we're so mechanical, right? Like, from here to here, we just need to kind of break the routine, like break our momentum. So that's a technique that's worked for me. So when you're learning the line, don't put any emotions in the line at all, zero. So yeah, I mean, just keep practicing and keep making them love you.
Oh, of course.
Every time you walk in the room.
Excellent. Thank you so much for your question, Ronnie. What I wanted to ask you was, what humanitarian, I mean, besides whatever you've done in the past, I think you've done blood camps and flood relief, etc. Which humanitarian efforts are you involved in right now?
Myself. So I know I've worked with a charity called Mankind Charitable Society for a very long time, and we used to do camps everywhere. I traveled with them a lot. It was the most beautiful experience. And the CEO of the charity told me a very like wise thing, and I look up to him as a father, as a mentor. And he said, Manu, you need to take a break, and you need to do whatever you are gonna do when you're young in terms of your career. My charity is always open to you. You can come back anytime. And after that point, I was like, okay, like, what do you really mean by that? I was thinking to myself, and I mean, I still work with him. I think my biggest humanitarian project right now is the fact that I took on the festival, the film festival, is because we didn't have a South Asian film festival in Vancouver. It was on the midst of just getting it was going to disappear if somebody didn't take it over. So it's a not-for-profit organization, as you know. I've been running the festival for 7 years, and yeah, and it's you know, it's still going really, really well. I think I would consider that somewhat of a humanitarian project. There's other projects that I do want to do. Water is something that's super necessary for me. in terms of like, just conserving water all the time. So if there's a way I can educate people on that, that's something that I would like to do.
The charity efforts that you do, I mean, they don't, they're not really easy. So I realize that it's getting close to the time that we call it a night, but I'm going to ask you one last question.
Hey, Sonny.
Yeah.
If I may, I've got a quick question for Manu.
Sure.
Hi there.
Hi, this is Sri, and I wanted to find out, you had alluded to something where when you're preparing for the role, you're reading the lines without emotions. And I'm learning now that it's called flat reading. I'm in a workshop. And a couple of questions. One is, how helpful is that? How helpful has that been to you for, getting into the emotion, getting into the character? That's one. The second is, you had hinted on something that you've been doing in recycling. I'd like to know a little bit more about what you're doing in that.
In terms of recycling, it's just learning at home how to even recycle things. That's very important for people to be able to go and educate. I haven't done anything on recycling per se, but when I'm in India, we do the beach cleanups where we take out tons of plastic, from the ocean itself. So I was working with that organization for 2 years when I was there now, and planting trees. So those are the two things this organization was doing. One was cleaning the beaches and then planting the trees. And I think that was probably one of the most rewarding and beautiful ways to help the environment, especially in India, in Mumbai. There was 100 ton of plastic we were able to pull out. So it was shocking, but it was really, to see the beaches so clean now, it's really absolutely amazing.
Yep.
On the part where you say flat reading, when I was training in India, we were told to flat read a scene for at least 100 times before you can even go into the next phase of the scene. So just getting your tongue used to the lines, and then breaking it down and saying what each line means to you, and be able to kind of talk through it.
Thank you so much for that, for reiterating that point for me.
Thank you, Sri.
No problem. So last question for the evening, and this is for all the little girls out there who aspire to become a pageant one day. What advice would you give these girls?
You should definitely coach with somebody, and do smaller regional pageants before you go to the big pageants. Because what happens is, once we go into a 6-month training, and then all of a sudden you're in the big platform and you don't make it, and you're disappointed, and all of those feelings. It's better to do small regional pageants and build up to the bigger pageant, because then you can actually realize in the smaller pageants it's something that you even enjoy doing. If there's something that you don't enjoy doing, it's going to be the same thing in a bigger audience, in a bigger pageant. So it'll build up your confidence when you do local pageants a lot. So when you're in the 6-month training, you already know some of your pros and cons going into the bigger pageant. So definitely coach with somebody, make yourself aware with what's happening in the world, because right now we're in a situation where so much is going on and they can ask you anything.
Thank you very much, Manu. I know we've taken up an hour, and it doesn't even feel like an hour. And I really, really enjoyed, speaking with you and getting your perspective. We've been interacting on Facebook this whole time, but it was a pleasure speaking with you, Manu. It was great. And,
same here, Sonny.
Thank you so much for taking out the time on a Friday evening and doing this with us.
I love it. We have a party happening here. It's good.
Oh, great. Awesome.
Can I just say that a thank you to Sonny? You did fantastic. And from this point on, I'm going to call you the Anupama Chopra of Anupama Chopra and Rajiv Masand of the US.
All right.
I like Anupama Chopra better.
This was fantastic. You should do a lot more of these. And you put it together so well. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And I really appreciate it. Thank you. Everybody's good to go. I would take your leave. Manu, thank you so much for being with us.
Thank you. And I'll be in touch.
Yes.
Thank you for having me. Take care. Good night.